CMS is going to pay you in January. Then in March, it's going to score the same data again with a different rulebook, different timeline, and adjust that payment. This isn't a rumor, this isn't a risk, this is published. CMS finalized 2 diagnosis exclusions for 2027 and priced it at $6.84 billion, and then proposed something that I haven't often seen them do before they turn them off for one run that decides your January through June payment. 16 days to the payment deadline. Let me show you which part of your payment already has an expiration deadline on it. I'm Dr. Prince Baawuah, and welcome to Risk Adjustment Made Easy, the Medicare Advantage kind. We've been going over 2027 payment, which begins with the initial payment run that comes into play January through June. We've gone through 2 videos already this month. The data you submit by September 4th, which is the deadline right here, September 4th, is going to get scored twice. Part will be the initial, which will go through your January check, and the mid-year run, which CMS will adjust the date of service timeline and also adjust it for your July through December prospective payments. And the second rulebook doesn't only apply going forward. It reaches backwards into the money you've already been paid and then works something out for you. And we are going over that this week. There are some exclusions that CMS informed us in HPMS memos regarding how they're processing for the payment year 2027. And the first one is unlinked chart review records. So they are excluded diagnoses that are coming in from unlinked chart review records, meaning the chart review records that are not linked by ICN to the parent encounter data record will not be included. This has an exception. This is only applying to non-PACE plans only. So PACE unlinked chart reviews records continue to be used for payment year 2027. There's also the switcher exception, and this is for parent org based, meaning parent orgs on the date of service versus submission to your own contracts don't qualify. And there's no exception if the beneficiary was in fee-for-service. There's also linkage edits decide whether the diagnosis survive or the diagnosis does not survive. And you want to keep all of these in sync as you think through diagnosis on unlinked chart review records, going through initial and also preparing for mid-year. Exclusion number 2, CMS is excluding diagnosis from audio-only services, modifier 93 or FQ. This reaches professional and outpatient encounter data records and chart review records in fee-for-service, and that applies to both PACE and non-PACE, as compared to the other one, which was only for non-PACE programs. This applies to both PACE and non-PACE. It only buys every risk adjustment eligible diagnosis that has it, but in the risk adjustment eligible diagnosis selection, if there is an accepted line for professional and outpatient, if there is a line that is accepted, one line that is accepted, and it's not one of these, then all the header shows up, all header diagnoses are pulled in. So even if there is one line that has audio only and the others may not necessarily have audio only and it passes, then this still bypass. But if it's audio only on all the lines and it is accepted, diagnosis from audio only doesn't make it to risk adjustment eligibility. CMS estimated excluding audio only and unlinked chart reviews to be $6.84 billion in net savings to the Medicare Trust Fund in 2027. And across the program, both exclusions combined, not per plan number, but this is to everyone. As individual health plan, you want to be looking through the data to look at these and see how this will affect your risk score and your payment as you exclude these diagnoses that are coming in from only this side of the exclusions. If you're non-PACE or PACE, you want to see which one applies and then analyze your data accordingly to see its impact on you specifically. To streamline the implementation and allow MA organizations sufficient time to acclimate to the online chart review and audio only, CMS said in the July 9th, 2026 HPMS memo and also the user group call deck that CMS will not implement this in the initial. So CMS will delay the implementation of this until the mid-year. And the mid-year deadline is in March. So it's not even very far away from now, but at least as a health plan, you have some time to be able to pull things together to see its impact. So whatever you're getting paid initially It may not necessarily be the same thing for media because if you have a lot of these applicable on-link chart review and audio only, then this is going to impact your risk score as you move from initial to mid-year and also to final, because final is going to exclude them. But these are the things that you want to have in place as you prepare and look forward to working or projecting your payments as the year comes by. Another thing to note is that the updated 2027 RS-HCC model is being implemented in initial. This is one thing that is going in initial per CMS's communication that you have to keep in mind as you prepare for the payment year 2027. The implementation time book, the initial service days July 2025 through June 2026. The deadline is first Friday in September, so September 4th, 2026, and it pays from January 2027 through June. The exclusions are not applied. For mid-year, January through December, and mid-year and finals are the same, and they are being applied. But the mid-year, the deadline is March 5th, 2027, and the final deadline is January 31st, 2028. All of them comes in as you prepare. Knowing this timeline table, you're able to look at your data to be able to know how much payment is coming in or not. Per CMS, if a beneficiary's mid-year risk score differs from the initial risk score, the mid-year risk score is used for July through the end of the year, which is what CMS is doing. June adjusted, and any retroactive adjustment in January through June payments due to risk score changes between the initial mid-year runs will be made in July 2027, as CMS does it. The exclusion arrives in March, the money moves in July payment. Which half of your windows is exposed? The initial run reads date of service July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. Both exclusions apply to 2026 date of service. It affects them and expose half of your initial window. And for July to December 2025 is untouched by neither exclusions, and it's not mid-year window at all. These months pay at initial, then fall out of scope. So not a promise the score drops, but mid-year gains July through December 2026 days of service, while the exclusion strip diagnosis pushing it down. So these are all not guarantees. It demands your team looking at the data to see the impact on the plan specifically as CMS make these changes across the industry. Your January number is not your run rate. A plan that books January 2027 revenue as its payment year 2027 baseline is booking a number calculated at the rulebook that expires in March. The initial run is just the payment, not just the forecast. So two different jobs, and this year they diverge on purpose. The MA04 used for initial model run reflects these diagnoses as included. It matches the run. It won't show you your exposure. So the exposure has to be computed. It shouldn't have been looked up. You have to have the data together in order to compute it to know what needs to be done and how you can project forward. And this is what changes before September 4th. Still submit everything on link chart reviews that qualify, switchers, exceptions go through, that survives till the mid-year. Flag, but don't withhold. Send them in because they're going to come into initial. But as you do this, you want to have that in mind because you don't want to use that to project because it's going to change. And you can split the forecast in two. If your finance or actuary team or whatever team is using this data, you want to have these processes in place, knowing which data goes to what, so that you can have the right forecast and the right payment in the right moment, in the right timeline. Because it is getting a bit of complexity here, but as you tear them down together, as you split them together, as you work on them together, this can be done. And that is what we have for today. If you have not received your free signature gift, it is From Chaos to Clarity. It's a one-page cheat sheet that maps fee-for-service reps and encounter data side by side for you. You download your free copy at go.thehealsacademy.com and you get your free copy there. If this has been helpful to you, I will encourage you to share, to subscribe, because it helps you not to lose anything, especially as we get into 2027, and it helps thus to reach a wider audience as we all strive for fair, accurate, complete, and timely risk adjustment payment. Thank you, and bye for now.